Okay, this is Tuesday, June 26, 2018, and we are doing interviews from external organizations requesting funding from the City of Watertown. So go ahead and introduce yourselves and let us know what your program's about.
All right. We are Lieutenant Zach and Carissa Zumwalt from the Salvation Army, and our program that we're applying for is our Young Musicians Music Program. And that happens once a week during the school year on Wednesdays from 5 to 5? 4.
5 to 6.
5 to 6, yeah. And we have 4 classes. We have a guitar class, a piano class, a drum class or percussion class, and we just added a young musicians class for kids who can't quite grasp to an instrument yet. So each of those classes has an instructor, and most of them have their own instruments that they can practice with, and they get one-on-one time with the teacher with. Young musicians is a little bit more different. It's based on learning theory and rhythm and different things that a kid would need going into an instrument class in the future. So the idea is that those young musicians could take all they learn and then kind of age up into a larger class. Is that,
Yep.
yeah. And what am I missing? That's
good.
kind of the big spiel,
Yeah.
right? It's we do a couple of recitals during the year just to kind of see where they've grown, where they've come from. We recognize a couple of different students for what they've achieved. Something like a Best in Class Award, Most Improved. Jump in if I'm missing
You're
anything
good.
here. Okay, I'm doing all right. And it's just nice to have those kind of things because these kids they don't get a lot of opportunities to be recognized, so it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Anything good?
No, that's good.
Okay. Our targeted youth are youth who are probably in poverty and I don't know how you would say that. Probably kids who can't afford music classes. It's important for them to also get that what am I trying to say here? That knowledge. Thank you. And we want to make that available to them, and it makes them successful, I think, in the future. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you choose music for your program?
Well, so the when we got here to Watertown a year ago, was it today? A year ago today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 year ago today. It was already started, but we saw ways that we could improve this, make this better, make this more successful. And I think we chose to do this one because music is so important. There are lots of studies and lots of different reports out there of what music and learning an instrument and learning theory and learning all of those different concepts does for a child, for even teenagers and adults. It improves behavior and attitude. It improves outlook on life. It improves motor skills. There's tons and tons of research on the different things that it does for a human. So it's an important thing to focus on. I think that's why I'm passionate about it anyway. So.
What qualifies you to teach music?
So we are kind of the overseers, but we have 3 different teachers that are very well instructed or taught in their own instruments. So you know one of them, Bruce Reinhardt.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
Bruce is our percussion teacher. So those 3 teachers teach the instruments, and then we were teaching young musicians, and we actually have had some training in different youth and teaching like rhythm and tempo and all of that stuff. And it's good. It's good to pass on that knowledge. And so we're just kind of the overseers, and we let our teachers do what they do best because they've got this. So.
How will you measure whether or not your program is successful?
So currently we measure by kind of by our recitals. I'd say it's easy to tell from recitals whether a kid has got it or not. We pick songs, we pick different tunes for them to play, we pick different, for Christmas, we pick a Christmas tune. And the success is whether or not they can kind of learn the different techniques and different tempos and rhythms to be able to implement and play that song at the recital. Do you want to?
There's also the Salvation Army has a program. I think they call it MAP or something like that. I have to figure out the actual terminology. But they have a whole program set up where they have ways to measure the outcome of when they began and when they ended. So I have to research it more, but it's something we would like our instructors to start kind of using in their classes so that the kids can go home and say, I practiced this, get it signed off. I practiced this, get it signed off. So it's more structured than just come each week and play and go. So that's something that we can look into. And then in the past, I've seen other Salvation Army music programs actually work with the schools to look at report cards and see where they started in the beginning of the year and where they've ended and how music has actually helped them move forward. Like Lieutenant Zach was saying that it does improve your whole being. I was teaching a class last week with teenage girls, choir class, and we researched about how it actually makes you feel better. It can kind of make you happy and make those endorphins come out and all of those things. And the kids that we're working with come from home lives that are not good, and so having those weekly classes kind of gives them a little bit of something in their week to look forward to. And I think we can see just from the beginning of the year to the end of the year the difference in how they act coming each week, or how they, how happy they seem when they come. So there are a few different ways to measure their successes and see what they've learned throughout the year.
It is. I mean, it is harder to measure it, but we, I think, from point A, and then you meet them at the end of the year, and you can see the difference. I mean, you could take pictures and record, and then go to the end of the year, and you'd see a difference. We have one kid who has some learning disabilities, and he's not a very social person, and one of our teachers actually decided that guitar wasn't going to work for him, so he gave him a harmonica. And this kid, when he gets a harmonica in his hand, can blow like nobody's business.
Oh my gosh.
And just seeing him perform on recital day, completely calm, completely at peace, and playing that harmonica was I think my favorite moment of the whole program.
Better than I could ever figure out how to play a harmonica.
Yeah.
Ever.
That's true.
So, I had another thought too. We have a music camp each year during the summer. That's a week-long music camp. And we're hoping to get more kids involved in that in the future. But that's one way too of kind of seeing their successes. They would have different teachers out there, and it would be very, very structured throughout the week. And they either have a band class or a vocal class, and then they have an elective, so something like dance or percussion or drama or some sort of what's the arts that I'm thinking of. But they also get awards out there, and they watch them very well throughout the week to see how they're coming along. So I know we have a few kids from our program going to that this summer, so that'll be good to see how they do. And
that's offered at an extremely discounted rate of $10
for a whole week.
per kid.
Wow.
That's lodging and air conditioning, I have to say.
Meals.
Food, swimming pool, and all of the instruments and everything that they could.
So this program that you're doing is something that other Salvation Armies do? It's a set program?
It's not a set program.
Right.
It varies from city to city. I have to say, when we got here to Watertown, we were very impressed with this program because it is run very well, and it's very organized, and you can see the success in the kids. You can see it in recitals. Other places focus kind of on like the brass instruments and different things like that. But a lot of Salvation Armies focus on it because Salvation Army has a heart for music, so it's a passion that they like to see us strive for.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, I know you guys have a heart for music.
Yes.
Individually.
Yes.
I didn't know that was in general. But
That's cool.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. And what's your greatest challenge with this program?
I think the greatest challenge is the population of kids that we're working with, youth that are impoverished and that sometimes are at risk of homelessness. It's hard to keep them coming back week after week, and it's so important to keep these
Yeah.
kids on a schedule so that they
Mhm.
can continue to learn, so that they continue to improve in not only music but in their attitude and behavior in school and different things like that. So,
Right.
sometimes we'll get a kid for 8 weeks and then something happens and we never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been the hardest challenge. We had over 40 kids enrolled in the program over in the year, this past year, and only about 26 of them showed up to the final recital.
Yeah.
So 14 of those kids gone. Yeah, and some of them we have no idea. So I think that's the challenge with this program is
Mhm.
trying to keep these kids
And their parents.
and their parents. Yeah, and that's the hard part
Yep.
is
Yes.
these
Someone
kids
has to
can't
get 'em
really
there.
control.
Yeah.
These kids can't control their lives. Sometimes it's the parents
Right.
that make the decision, and they gotta go where they gotta go. So that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You kind of touched on this a little bit, but what's your vision for the future of this program?
Yeah, I would say that we would like to see it grow.
Mhm.
I would love to see a harmonica class. I think just seeing what came out of the one kid,
Mhm.
and then seeing other kids that maybe aren't attaching to one of the other instruments, maybe going to harmonica. I think that would be an awesome idea. I would like to see it grow and be able to offer it to more kids, but with only certain amount of teachers. There's only so much one-on-one time you can give to kids. Other things, we already implemented the Young Musicians class, which was a part of the vision, is we wanted to let these little kids start learning so that they could also come to the program so that they would be ready
Mhm.
to age into that. So I think with this coming year, we'll actually see if that vision starts
Right.
to successfully come true as we age kids up into other music lessons. I'd say we'd also like to maybe do I think we talked about maybe some recitals and different things like that at like nursing homes and things like that. That was an idea that was thrown out there so that these kids could show the community
Yeah, more than-
and bless senior citizens and different
Mhm.
different groups of people like
Yes.
that.
Mhm.
What about you, Lieutenant?
I think too it would be nice to have a brass class started again. We actually have a lot of brass instruments because
we do.
previous officers did have a brass class going, and it's hard when like we don't play brass,
Yeah.
so we're not helpful in that area. I tried as a child, just wasn't for me. So, but I hate to see them just sitting in the closet, not getting used.
Yeah.
And there may be some kids that would love to do that. Plus, they could play at school as well, so they're getting double learning there and using it in many different areas. So I would love to see the brass class be added on to as well as another option.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see how the extra attention and instruction that they get from you would boost
Mhm.
their abilities up a little bit, and then when they go back to school,
Mhm.
it
Yes.
elevates
Right.
them, and that's a source of pride for them.
Yep.
Right. It's true.
So
Yep.
yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oops. Uh, the Salvation Army does so many things. This is just one little tiny piece
Mhm.
of what you do. This
Yeah.
program isn't the Salvation Army. It's
Right.
Right.
one little piece. I know with the people aren't carrying money around, and we talked about this earlier around Christmas time.
Mhm.
How have you been overcoming the probably the lack of funding from donations that you're getting because people just don't have change in their pockets?
Mhm.
Sure. So, it's difficult to kind of change to that, but people of Watertown are pretty giving, I think.
Mhm.
We came in decently with our goal,
Mhm.
we've been doing all right. We haven't had to cut any services at this point. We haven't had to cut any services. The thrift store, it's doing all right, and it's been able to kind of help us and keep us afloat over the last couple of years, which has been good. Carissa, what would you?
I think too, we're just trying to be good stewards of our money,
Yeah.
and if there's something that we don't need to be spending money on, we take it out and say, there has to be a different way to do this, and just using the donations that we get as far as food, so we're not buying extra. So we're just trying to use what we have
Yeah.
to the best of our ability, which kind of helps us then provide these other things
Yeah, it's
as
true.
well.
Being thankful for what we do receive from the community, being thankful for what we do receive from
Yeah.
grants and different things like that,
Yeah.
and then taking that and figuring out the absolute best way to put that money to use. You know, if we're not using it in the best way, how can we make it better? You know, how can we stretch the dollars so that we can make the most impact in whatever program it is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, you've answered all my questions. Thank you very much for all you
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
and thank you for coming today.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
absolutely.
Thank you.